Luangwa, where the rules are written in blood and courage. One individual versus the will of the collective. Who will give up? Baboon versus leopard. The harsh battle for survival in Luangwa. The Luangwa Valley, a wild jewel of Zambia, where the river winds through dense forests, golden grasslands and vibrant wetlands. This is one of Africa's most diverse ecosystems, where hundreds of species of animals, large and small, share the water. From powerful predators to mighty herds of herbivores. In the air, on land and in the water, life is interwoven in a complex web, where every creature plays an indispensable role. Luangwa is not just a land, but a microcosm of pristine nature, where each day is filled with both the beauty and the harshness of the wilderness. From within the dense green of the riverbank, a dappled yellow shadow moves. Amid the patches of sunlight filtering through the foliage, its silhouette blends into the dry grass. Leopard. The silent but powerful hermit of the Luangwa Valley. In the distance, on the open grassland, a herd of impalas graze leisurely. Their ears are perked up, occasionally twitching when they catch a strange sound, but they have not yet realized the danger that lurks. The leopard has a lithe yet sturdy body, over 1.5 meters long, with a tail almost half as long as its body. It is a master climber, able to carry prey twice its weight up to the treetops to avoid predators. Its golden fur with distinctive black patterns helps it hide perfectly in the dense grass. Although it lives alone, it is a patient hunter, relying on its ability to sneak, stalk, and burst into lightning speed. The leopard's eyes are locked on its target. An impala is separating from the herd. The leopard lowers its body, every muscle taut like a bowstring. Each step is just a slow and smooth lift of its foot, like the wind blowing through the grass. The air seems to thicken. Only the pounding heartbeat of the hunter and the carefree grazing sound of the prey can be heard. In this distance, only a moment of carelessness is needed. The impala does not realize anything. Suddenly, the leopard charges. just a few seconds, the hunt is over. The leopard's body is designed for absolute agility. Its strong muscles combined with its light skeleton allow it to climb well, easily lifting prey twice its own weight into high branches to avoid predators. Its bite force reaches about 310 to 500 psi, enough to penetrate the ribs of a large prey. When needed, it can explode from 0 to 60 kilometers in just 3 seconds, leaving its prey with almost no time to react. In addition to hunting, leopards also spend a lot of time marking their territory. They rub their bodies against tree trunks, scratch their claws to leave visual traces, and release a distinctive scent from their scent glands to warn off intruders. They will emit a hoarse roar that can be heard far away, both to assert their ownership of the territory and to communicate with their own kind. As mothers, leopards are extremely devoted. The cubs are kept hidden for the first weeks of their lives to avoid predators. The mother moves them constantly to reduce the risk of detection and to teach them how to hunt step by step. However, less than 50% of the cubs survive to adulthood, most of them dying from other predators or disease. With each meal won, the leopard's maternal instincts and survival skills are passed on to the next generation. In the distance, the remaining impala herd has fled, leaving the unfortunate one lying motionless. In this wild land, the silence after the chase is the hunter's victory declaration. The impala herd moves like a seamless flow. They possess slender bodies, covered in shiny reddish-brown fur, smooth white bellies and graceful curved horns in the males, like soft strokes. They are flexible herbivores, often gathering in large groups to increase the ability to detect predators. The breeding season takes place at the end of the rainy season, when young grass covers the fields. Males compete fiercely for the right to mate, and the newborns will quickly join the herd, learn to run, and be alert from the first steps. However, despite being crowded and possessing a speed advantage of up to more than 80 km/h against experienced predators such as leopards, escaping is never easy. Not far from where the impala herd grazes, on a low mound, The silhouettes of a group of chacma baboons, clearly visible under the early morning sunlight, are the other constant survivals of the wilderness. Chacma baboons are the largest primates in the monkey family. They have an average body length of 50 to 115 cm, with thick grey-brown fur mixed with black. When moving, they always bend slightly and often crouch down. Their bare, long, shiny black faces, deep and bright eyes, are always alert to all movements around them. They have strong arms, long, flexible fingers, and their teeth with fangs can be up to 5 centimeters long in males, enough to cause serious injury to enemies or rivals in the herd. Chacma live in large herds, which can number more than 100 individuals, organized in a strict social system, with the leading males controlling order and protecting the group. Chacma herds move mainly during the day, while searching for food on the ground or in trees. They eat a variety of things, from grass, fruits, seeds, roots to insects, young birds, eggs, and even young antelopes. It is this flexibility that helps them survive in even the harshest areas of Africa. Their breeding season occurs year-round, but is often concentrated during periods of abundant food supply. After about 6 months of gestation, the female gives birth to a single calf, which is held tightly to her chest or ridden on her back for the first few months of its life. When old enough to move on their own, the cubs begin to follow the herd out into the foraging grounds, learning to find ripe fruit, dig for roots, catch insects and collect fallen seeds. The space around the herd is always noisy with chirping calls, the rustling of palm leaves underfoot. Occasionally, growls or hisses are heard when there is a fight over food. However, in the midst of this seemingly peaceful scene, a danger is lurking. In the shade of a low bush, the leopard lies down, its bright yellow eyes locked on a baby monkey that has just moved a few steps away from its mother. The predator has a very diverse diet, so it is extremely well adapted to many environments. The leopard, with all its attention focused on a small, less capable target. The sunlight slanted through the foliage, casting warm yellow streaks on the ground dotted with tree shadows. The leopard remained low to the ground, moving as if sliding on a carpet of dry leaves, without a sound. Each step was calculated, the arc gradually narrowing around the target. The baby monkey was still absorbed, completely unaware of the approaching shadow. But it was not alone. The leopard thought it had had a delicious meal, when the atmosphere around it suddenly changed. Suddenly, a troop of chacma monkeys rushed forward, their howls echoing everywhere. The hunt was forced to stop. The chacma baboons were too aggressive. The peaceful scene turned into a battlefield. The leopard was a smart predator, always calculating between risk and reward. A small meal was not worth the risk of facing the fury of an entire army. Without hesitation, the leopard quickly disappeared into the forest. The leopard disappeared into the dark green of the clearing, leaving the ground covered with dry leaves and the smell of tension still lingering in the air. The chacma monkeys gradually returned to order. Life in Luangwa never stopped. There was a lull. Another drama began on another stage. The wet grass by the river. Under the fading afternoon sun, golden shadows moved leisurely. That is the puku antelope, one of the typical inhabitants of this wetland. The puku antelope has a well-proportioned body, an average height of about 1 meter, with thick, smooth, honey-brown fur, lighter on the belly and neck. They have bright round black eyes and long pointed ears that are always moving to pick up sounds from all directions. The male stands out with a pair of beautifully curved lyre-shaped horns, 40 to 50 centimeters long. Those horns are a symbol of strength during the mating season. Puku are purely herbivorous, preferring green grass near swamps or moist places. They live in herds of 6 to several dozen individuals, often active in the early morning and late afternoon to avoid the intense heat of the day. When in danger, the puku emits a characteristic alarm call to warn the herd, then disperse and run at speeds of up to 50 km/h. They are grazing and are always surrounded by vigilance. But the tranquility of the savannah was only a thin veneer. Hidden in the chest-high dry grass, a pride of lions had taken up position. Their large, sandy bodies blended perfectly with the environment, turning them into invisible ghosts. The puku, absorbed in their last meal of the day, were unaware that each step brought them closer to death. The antelopes did not sense the danger approaching. The space around them seemed to stop. Suddenly, the lion charged. The entire herd was in an uproar. In an instant, the hunt was over, and a puku had become a feast for the savannah's most notorious predator. The antelopes had to continue their journey. And the rainy season had arrived, not only bringing fresh grass to the puku, but also the booming time of the breeding season. As the grasslands stretch out in lush green, the males begin their displays of strength, clashing with each other with fierce horn thrusts to gain access to the females. After about 8 months of pregnancy, the females seek a safe place to give birth. The young puku, still on shaky legs, take only a few minutes to stand up and join the herd. They quickly learn to be alert to the ever-lurking threats, because in Luangwa, any moment of inattention could be their last. Life in Luangwa continues unabated, the cycles of life following one another like an endless cycle of nature. With that cycle of fate, predators and prey are forever intertwined in a dance of life and death. In another corner of this wilderness, a species is also diligently finding ways to survive in this harsh place. Under the golden light of the late afternoon that covered the Luangwa Valley, a troop of chakma baboons stretched out across the clearing after a long day of foraging. Suddenly, the silence was broken when 2 large males separated themselves from the crowd. On one side was an old, dark-haired leader. Opposite him was a young challenger, his body solid, his muscles rippling, his gaze burning with a desire for power. All attention was focused on the 2 large males standing face to face. Just a short time ago, the younger one had dared to approach a female, an act that crossed the line, directly challenging the leader's supremacy. All attention in the troop was focused on the 2 figures standing face to face. The atmosphere was tense and compressed. The females held their young tightly, pulling them back to safety, while the other males dispersed. The wind whistled softly through the dry trees, mingling with the heavy breathing of the two opponents. Their eyes locked, white fangs flashing in the afternoon light, their bodies taut as bowstrings ready to spring. Then, in a moment of tension, the fight was short but fierce. The winner had gained supreme power, approached the females of the herd, and asserted his new position of dominance. The laws of nature were rewritten once again, and in Luangwa, kingship always belonged to the strongest. In Luangwa, every creature was part of a wild symphony, where every breath, every step carried within it a story of strength, patience, and the will to survive. From the silent hunts of leopards, the persistent vigilance of puku herds, to the fierce battles for supremacy of the Chakma baboons, everything is an endless cycle of life and death. This is the eternal law of nature. The strong will survive, the weak will be eliminated. In your opinion, in this harsh land, which species is truly the absolute ruler? Leave your comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the next journeys and battles of the wild world. Welcome to the Kalahari Desert, where life struggles to survive. Amidst the scorching sand dunes and harsh climate, the Kalahari is more than just a desert. It is a challenging world where powerful animals must overcome all odds to survive. From intense hunts to epic moments of resilience, each creature has its own story. Join us as we explore one of the most amazing wildernesses on Earth, where life thrives, even in the harshest of places. The struggle for survival of desert creatures in the Kalahari. Beyond the red horizon, the sun appeared, revealing the end of the night's darkness. At dawn, the first glimmers of light gently illuminated the hot sand, bringing life to an environment that had seemed lifeless since the night before. The Kalahari is characterized by the constant fusion of sand, wind and time, creating an eternal song in search of survival. From an elevated perspective, the Kalahari Desert is not merely a desolate territory. It is an intricate labyrinth of reddish sand dunes, golden carpets of dry grass, and sparse but resilient thorny bushes. The Kalahari is not as arid as the Sahara, as it still receives irregular and limited rainfall. However, the lack of resources is the ultimate confirmation for all beings who choose to establish this place as their home. In the icy sand of early morning, a group of meerkats, known as land mousefish, move gently. Emerging from the cave entrance, the leader of the pack stood on his hind legs, exhaled deeply, and smelled the scent of the wind. He always directs his gaze toward the sky, where predators such as the majestic golden eagles could emerge at any moment. Meerkats are a gregarious species that follow a strict social organization, where the group survival is based on a high degree of collaboration. When one bird is on alert, the others quickly abandon the burrow to search for insects beneath the gradually warming sand. At a lower altitude, a group of oryx gazelles move toward the vegetation-covered edge. They advanced gracefully and confidently, their long horns extended like two spears pointing to the sky. This antelope is recognized as an active emblem of adaptability. Organisms can regulate their body temperature to conserve internal heat and prevent fluid loss through perspiration. The oryx can survive for several weeks without drinking water, obtaining the necessary moisture from dehydrated plants. Resting in the heart of a thorny acacia bush, an imposing male lion remained calm while watching its prey in the distance. The lush, dark mane that distinguishes the Kalahari lions stands out against their sandy-colored fur, giving them an imposing and terrifying appearance. The lions of this region are noted for their great size and strength, as they must travel long distances and face adverse conditions in order to hunt. Every action they perform involves not only the search for food, but also extreme risk to their lives. The last rays of the sun gently caressed the red sand hills that were slowly turning crimson. As the sun set behind the horizon, the sky took on an uneven purple hue. On the ground, temperatures dropped sharply, from over 40 degrees to below 15 degrees in just 1 hour. The intense cold seeped through every crack in the stones and every bush of vegetation, stirring the creatures of the deep night from their slumber. A gentle, sharp wind, like a leaf, blew through the air. Little by little, the sound of crickets diminished. In the void, absolute silence reigned, allowing one to hear the sound of the sand sliding and crunching as it fell down the hill. From deep in the forest, a group of wild African dogs began to move. Their wide, fan-shaped ears remained erect, capturing all the sounds around them. The brown, black and white markings on their fur camouflaged them in the darkness, making them practically imperceptible. At night, they neither bark nor howl. Physical gestures, glances and head movements were enough to communicate hunting strategies. The dogs began to increase their speed smoothly, swiftly and noiselessly. Their goal was to spot a group of impalas feeding at a distance of more than 500 meters. Wild dogs have exceptional night vision and a speed that no prey wants to face. In less than 3 minutes, an impala lay still on the sand. A deep growl was heard in the desert as it tore into flesh, with no delay or trace of blood, only the fulfillment of the rules. In a remote valley, a group of Kalahari desert elephants rested in the bright moonlight. Large grey silhouettes rested at their sides, exhaling steam in the frigid air. The adult elephant protects her calf with its enormous size. It is well known that nighttime is when the risk arises, although few brave souls dare to confront a group of mature elephants. As the sun set behind the distant hills, dark clouds advanced like a silent army. Lightning lit the sky, a deep shade of purple, casting white flashes across the Kalahari firmament. A thunderous roar echoed in the air, and suddenly the rain began to fall heavily. Rain does not fall lightly. Heavy rain fell heavily on the arid soil, raising dust and spreading an intense earthy scent, the perfume of existence, the scent of transformation. The cracked surface began to become smoother. Suddenly, the long simmering streams underwent a surprising change. Rainwater seeped in abundantly, forming the first tiny, bubbling and clear streams. They congregate, paving the way for the low-lying areas to begin filling with water, creating ephemeral pools known as pans. After a few days, an extraordinary event occurred. From the seemingly lifeless earth, the first shoots of grass emerged. Their growth is rapid, with lush, intensely green foliage. For several months, the seeds have rested peacefully in the sand, anxiously awaiting the precise moment to awaken, grow, and compete with one another in a heated competition. Groups of wildebeest, gazelles and zebras approached from a distance. They move in large groups, following ancient memories. Where fresh grass grows, there is vitality. The vast expanse of the Kalahari shook with the advance of numerous animals swarming toward the seasonal plain, which was now covered in lush green vegetation. In a low-lying region, a small, barely filled rain lake was transformed into a surprising oasis. The birds arrived in great numbers, like an avalanche. Majestic flamingos took flight toward the sky. Flocks of pink birds soared through the skies near the sea and then descended, beginning the enigmatic courtship ritual. The bird known as the kingfisher dived into the lake, plunging its beak into the water with precision and speed, like a moving projectile. Beneath the water's surface, tiny creatures such as tadpoles, water beetles, and dragonfly larvae suddenly emerged. They had remained motionless in the mud during the dry season, waiting for the rain to restore their vitality. With the presence of fresh grass and fresh water, herbivores began to reproduce in large numbers. The new antelopes arrive, shivering in the morning light after the rain. In a matter of minutes, they must learn to stand up, as hunters never rest. As the sun set in the Kalahari, daylight faded over the reddish dunes, creating contrasts of light and dark on the dry, cracked ground. Amidst the thorny vegetation, a distinguished figure moved stealthily. It was an adult male leopard, moving elegantly, as if perfectly integrated into its surroundings. His dark yellow coat, patterned with black rosettes, allowed him to easily blend in with the dry grasslands and reddish soil characteristic of the region. His amber eyes repeatedly turned white as he moved forward in total silence. This hunter is not a fan of noise. The leopard represents lethal silence, a being that hides, sets ambushes, and acts quickly. Leopards have no need to run, unlike proud lions and swift cheetahs. They live alone and hunt independently. They depend on tranquility and the ability to wait for their continued existence. In this dry terrain, any mistake is crucial, and the leopard knows this. On a gentle slope, he spotted a group of steenbok, tiny, delicate antelopes that often forage near low-growing bushes. In the dim light of the late afternoon sun, the leopard crouched low to the ground, its muscles tensing beneath its soft fur, and began to glide forward. Its movement was so slow it seemed as if it were never approaching. For nearly 30 minutes it silently closed the gap to less than 15 meters. A slight draft blew in that direction, proving favorable. So far, Steenbok hasn't encountered anything out of the ordinary. Then, suddenly, like a flash of lightning, the leopard launched itself from the ground, its form rising into the air like a moving arrow. It doesn't need to travel long distances. A leap is enough, demonstrating total strength and precision. They extended their forelimbs, their claws fanned out like sharp blades, firmly holding the tiny, frightened prey that hadn't been able to escape yet. The bite on the neck was swift and accurate, not excessively deep, but it caused the steenbok to suffocate and fall instantly. No bloodshed, no exertion for an extended period. It was a brief encounter, characterized by hunting instincts that have been honed over millions of years of evolution. However, capturing prey doesn't represent the ultimate triumph. In the Kalahari Desert, the risk isn't in being chased, but in what happens next. Hyenas, lions, jackals, and even vultures are always lurking like thieves. Their sense of smell allows them to detect the scent of blood from a great distance and move quickly in an instant. The leopard is fully aware of this. Without hesitation, it grabbed the lifeless body of its prey and, using the remarkable power of its back muscles and hind legs, scaled a nearby camel thorn tree, a thorny plant that grows sparsely in the desert environment. No large predator in the Kalahari possesses this skill. The leopard is adept at climbing. Its curved claws, which do not fully retract, grip firmly onto the treetops. In just a few moments, it managed to rise almost 4 meters and deposit its prey on a wide, dark branch. From this vantage point, it could calmly enjoy its meal, while the hyenas below could only moan helplessly. In the sky, several vultures began to circle, but they stayed away, aware of the presence of someone untouchable to them. Under the shade of the tall trees, the leopard began to tear at the first fibers. While enjoying its meal, it often looked up and became aware of its surroundings. A keen ear can detect every sound, no matter how small. The leopard is alone, without support from other members of the pack, so it must maintain constant vigilance to ensure its survival. With powerful jaws, sharp teeth, and razor-sharp claws, it has ideal tools for hunting, catching prey, and protecting itself. Unlike the lion's glare, the leopard resembles a silhouette. It dwells on the border between light and darkness, between calm and intensity. As night fell, the silvery moonlight filters through the tree branches, casting its soft silhouette on the sandy ground. It remained completely still, resembling a tree branch, its eyes almost closed, breathing calmly. The hyenas were no longer present. High above, the owls emitted their characteristic call. However, for the leopard, the night passed peacefully. The next morning, only a few skeletal remains were found on the tree branch. The leopard departed before the first rays of the sun reached the ground. Without a trace, without the slightest sound. As if it had never been there, yet it was there. It had caught its prey. It will return before you least expect it. When the sun shines brightly and the sand burns hot enough to burn your feet, the Kalahari appears one of absolute tranquility. There is not a gazelle in sight. No bird calls. The winds come and go, carrying with them an arid heat. However, beneath the surface at a shallow depth lies a completely different universe. There, light cannot reach. Temperatures have dropped approximately 15 degrees, and above all, life continues its course silently and steadily. From an aerial perspective, the Kalahari appears as a desolate and static territory. Imagine if we could turn the Earth upside down, and we would discover an intricate network of passages, caves, and underground spaces inhabited by numerous species of living beings that thrive and resist the dry environment. Among the great variety of beings that inhabit the Kalahari's subsurface, the honey badger stands out, a truly astonishing creature. Also known as the honey badger, this animal is unique in its species. Although tiny, barely the size of a medium-sized dog, it possesses a fierce character, unwavering determination, and the ability to endure beyond conceivable odds. The honey badger's dark fur is as thick as armor, and a silver stripe runs from head to tail, reminiscent of the mark of a conqueror. This desert creature is more than just an underground animal, it is a living legend. A male badger prowled through the thorny thickets, tirelessly exploring with his nose. Each advance is made with calm and determination. The front claws are long, curved and sturdy, resembling metal hooks. They are not only used for digging burrows, but also become a powerful instrument in the battle for survival. On hot days, weasels don't seek shelter from the sun like other animals, but instead build their own refuge by digging quick, shallow burrows. There they take cover, rest, or even set up ambushes. Honey weasels have a varied diet, but they are not animals that eat recklessly. They pursue with cunning and determination, focusing on high-value goals. In one common scene, a weasel hides deep within a mound, disrupting the complex construction of an anthill. Despite the rush of numerous small creatures that spooked them, it remained calm and selected thick, protein-rich termite larvae from the solid soil. However, termites are simply a snack. Honey weasels are not afraid when confronted by more powerful individuals. He stopped beside a thicket, vigorously stirred the sand, and then cautiously retreated. Suddenly, a nimble, dark whip-like movement emerged from the opening, a Kalahari cobra over a meter long, slithering, ready to strike. It was the perfect moment for other hunters to retreat. However, the weasel charged forward swiftly, as if it had longed for this moment for a long time. In a fleeting instant, the confrontation between the two beasts unfolded. Despite being bitten by the snake, the weasel continued on its way without stopping. Thanks to its tough hide and impressive immunity to venom, the weasel continued attacking, tearing, and overpowering its rival until the snake lay still in a matter of minutes. Weasels feast on the snake's head, the part where the venom is located, as if it were the most exquisite delicacy of the day. Even if the snake has been poisoned, it is possible for it to fall asleep for a while, then wake up and continue consuming the meal it left unfinished. This ability is a biological enigma that has not yet been fully deciphered, but it is undoubtedly one of the most unique evolutionary peculiarities in the animal kingdom. In addition to their hunting ability, honey weasels are also noted for their skill in interpreting the natural environment. They can locate natural nests thanks to a unique connection with a bird known as the greater honey guide. Upon finding the hive, the bird emits a distinctive call that attracts the weasel's attention, which follows it. When the weasel ruins the bee nest and consumes most of the wax, pollen and honey, what remains, the bee larvae and remains, becomes the bird's prize. This is an unusual case of symbiotic interaction between birds and predators, characterized by its calculated strategy and shared benefits. In the animal kingdom, strength generally comes with isolation. Weasels prefer to live alone and occasionally bond during the breeding season. They have large areas that they demarcate using intense scent glands. Few species dare to venture into the territory, not for fear of being eliminated, but because they find no benefit in confronting weasels. Even lion cubs can be brought down by this tiny creature if one is not careful. Weasels are not known for their size, they are not known for their speed. Not the most powerful. However, they possess the fundamental quality in the Kalahari: courage. In a universe where the ability to adapt and willpower are essential for survival, the honey ferret is a clear example of this premise.